Recording.
Good morning, Eileen. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Siobhan?
I'm great. I'm great, Eileen. Do you know what I saw on my way down here today?
What?
I saw the bluebells. The bluebells are up, and it brings back such lovely memories of this time of year and going on nature walks with the students here at school. But yeah, so it's really got me thinking about the importance of nature, especially at this time.
Oh, that's lovely, Siobhan. And as you mentioned the bluebells, it brings me back to when I was small. I grew up in Virginia, and in the Park Avenue, you'd walk down, and it was actually like a purple carpet. And it's only now I realise the absolute beauty of that. But when you're talking about nature, what I'm noticing every day, Siobhan, when I wake up, or if I wake up early, sometimes I wake up at 5 o'clock, listening to the birds singing.
Mm.
It's just, and what's coming to my mind is a quote from John Muir, and he says, "In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks." And I'm noticing that even going in my garden, like just noticing the absolute beauty, taking it in, appreciating it, like the resilience of the flowers. They're coming up no matter what, they keep going, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing, like when you reflect that the coronavirus is not in any way negatively impacting nature. In fact, if anything, it's giving nature a chance to regenerate and to become even more strong. And when you mentioned the birds singing there, so many people have said to me, Eileen, about listening to the birds. And actually one person wondered, are the birds getting louder? But then somebody else said, no, it's just that the world has become quieter, so we can hear the birds. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, that's beautiful. And just
But that we can hear them, but we can, sorry for disturbing you there, Siobhan, we can hear them, but we notice them. Like a friend of mine said to me there at the start of this, God, the birds are really loud now, and like what I thought, the birds are always loud, but do we get to stop long enough to appreciate the beautiful sound that they make, and the different birds, and it's just so, it's just beautiful.
I was watching the birds myself the other day, and what amazed me was to see a flock of birds kind of swoop into the garden together, and the way they fly so effortlessly in formation, and they kind of free fall for a while. It's amazing to watch. But then how one of them separated from the rest and just perched on a branch on its own. And I thought, oh, there's so many amazing lessons to be learned from nature. Like, you can spend time with the pack, you can spend time with the group, but it's okay to spend that time perched on a branch on your own. It's amazing. And it makes me think of a quotation from Vincent van Gogh. He said, if you love nature, you'll find beauty everywhere. And I think that's a real at this time, because I know it's one of the main things that's giving me strength and enjoyment as well every day, is going out for that walk in nature and taking the time to deliberately appreciate the beauty around me.
Yeah, and do you know what's coming to my mind, Siobhan, and I know nature is something you're so passionate about, is when I visited your school in, where's your school again? Can't remember. English.
English, yeah.
I had the privilege of visiting Siobhan's school last year, and like what really blew me away when I, was out in the back, all the things planted, the little signs out in the garden, and the nature is so much part of your curriculum in the school, isn't it, Siobhan?
We have a huge focus on outdoor education. We have a sensory garden, and just last year we planted our own forest. So we have 100 trees beginning to grow. And I suppose it's the idea of considering the future. So obviously we're not going to get the privilege of sitting under those trees. We do have other trees that we have the privilege of sitting under, but future generations will. And it's lovely to cultivate that connection with the students and their families.
And something's coming to my mind when you're saying that, and it's a quote by Henry David Thoreau, and he talks about, he took a walk in the woods and he came out taller than the trees. and like the power in that, like, you know,
Mm.
when I'm out in nature, if, you know, something we mentioned in one of our previous recordings was working on Zoom, but like in between calls to go out to take a walk in nature, you come back with a renowned sense of, you just feel you can do anything, you know.
It's true, and you also get a sense of, on the one hand, how small you are in the grand scheme of things, but also how powerful you are. A lovely quotation, another one's coming to mind, is if you like a flower, you will pick it, and if you love a flower, you will water it. And
Yeah,
I think it's that being able to appreciate nature, look at it, but not have to take it and bring it into your house and have to own it. We don't own it. So yeah, there's so much to be got from nature. I think another thing I read recently was something that Anne Frank had said, that
mm,
nature is the greatest remedy for everything. And even, you know, when you're feeling particularly bad, that if you look up at the sky and nature, it can heal everything. So I think it's just taking that time, even if your mind is saturated with worries, to notice, deeply notice the nature around you and deliberately think about it. Consider how old might that tree be? How
yeah,
hard is its bark? What a lovely shape the leaves are. And as you gradually go into that, you'll find the distraction alone of that will ease your worries.
absolutely. And you know what's coming to my mind when you're saying looking at the tree and how old it is? I've been in college for the last 3 years with PCI, and where our classes have been held is it has been an old Magdalen laundry. And I remember this spring and last spring walking in the grounds as I would on my break, and the daffodils were coming up, and it just came to me, and I thought, they're probably the daffodils that came up years ago when this was a Magdalen laundry and all those people were there. And I have to say that I had a mixture of sadness, but a mixture of, again, the resilience of those flowers. They're still coming up. I'm quite sure they were the same ones that were there. And it was really profound, you know, to see that. And something else that came to me about that was, one day we were told to go out, you know, invited to go outside, and we were writing our tree of life for one of our projects. And I went out into the grounds in the college, and I saw this tree, and when you looked at the big tree, it was flourishing, just so beautiful. But when you looked underneath, there were branches cut off, but even though those branches were cut off, it was still beautiful. And what came to me was the story of so much of my life. Like, there's parts that I've moved on from, there's a job I've moved on from, nursing, but all those things, all those experiences, some of them that are now gone, have helped me to flourish. I don't know if that makes sense, does it?
Absolutely. It definitely makes sense to me anyway, Eileen. And I have to say, I enjoyed this year every single day of the cherry blossom in
Yeah.
particular. It's my favorite tree. But I also got to enjoy watching the leaves, the petals fall. And it struck me, you know, it's very, very short-lived, the bloom of the cherry
Mm,
blossom, but the lessons that that teaches, and then just to know that this time next year it'll bloom again, and life continues and the cycle goes on. And
yeah.
that's the great lesson of nature.
Yeah. And you know, as we finish up today, and I'm looking out my window here, Siobhan, for anybody who's watching, take a walk, listen. Don't put your earphones on today. Just listen and notice. And do you know, I guarantee it'll really make such a difference to your day. What do you think, Siobhan?
Absolutely. And wonder about everything you see. Ask yourself questions. Albert Einstein said there's only two ways to live life: as if nothing is a miracle, and as if everything is.
Everything.
And everything in nature is a miracle, and so are we.
We're all miracles. On that note, have a great day, everybody. Siobhan, lovely to see you. Bye
Yeah, have
bye.
a lovely day. Bye bye.